We are back with a recap of the Cleveland Browns' really ugly and weird win against the Houston Texans. Final score is 27-14, which is a normal enough score, but the way that the game went about getting there was definitely bizarre to say the least. David Njoku out this week for the Browns. He was back last week against the Buccaneers. He got some sort of injury of some kind. I forget what it is, honestly. And Njoku coming out and not being in the game, so that's fine. David Bell would also leave early on in the game, I believe, with a hand injury. The first play is John Johnson getting a strange interception that this was probably going to set the standard for just how bizarre this game was going to be from the very beginning, where the Houston Texans receiver catches it and he goes down and he tries to, when he hits the ground, his hands kind of like force the ball to go way up in the air. John Johnson catches it. It's initially ruled incomplete because it looks like the ground, like it looked like the ball bounced off the ground really high, but no, it's just his hands kind of like are on the ball and then they just kind of like flung it up in the air in a weird way, whatever. The Browns with a good field position, however, they do get a 3 and out. The Browns do go 3 and out on that drive. And then Anthony Schwartz would catch a ball, but he would carry it like kind of like a bread basket, and he would fumble it. Houston recovers, and the Texans open up the scoring with a field goal, 0-3. On the next Browns drive, a nifty tight end sweep on a fake with, they sub in Jacoby Brissett for Deshaun Watson, and because they've been quarterback sneaking Jacoby Brissett kind of a lot, that's what the defense is anticipating, but it is a jet sweep to Harrison Bryant. I thought that was a nice little change of pace from Kevin Stefanski, an actual good use of a tight end sweep there. Deshaun Watson in this game, that's going to be the big thing of how he's going to look after not playing for so long. He looked, especially early on, I'll get into his total game performance a little later. Early on, he looked a bit kind of up and down, definitely throwing balls low. And then in the first quarter, he throws an INT into the end zone. That interception killing off a promising drive. Nick Chubb was really good in the first quarter in the opening sequences. Kevin Stefanski, though, seemingly the focus of the offense was going to be the passing game and trying to get Deshaun Watson some reps in. I'm not sure how great of a game plan that ended up being. The first quarter ends 0-3 with the Texans driving. On that drive, the Browns defense would get a stop on 4th and goal from the 1 on a nice pass breakup from Grant Delpit there. But on that ensuing drive, Nick Chubb would be tackled for a safety in the end zone, increasing the Texans' lead to 5-0. And then after that, a lot of nothing happens. And then from out of nowhere, a Donovan Peoples-Jones punt return for a touchdown gives the Browns a lead of 7-5. That is the first punt return touchdown for Cleveland since Travis Benjamin did it in 2015. So a blast from the past there. That's a name that Browns fans, I don't know if I forgot, that it was there because he hasn't been there in a while. But he when he was a returner for the Browns, he definitely was. He had some electricity to him, but again, that was 7 years ago now. Deshaun Watson almost giving the Texans a touchdown to end the half as, at first I thought he might have been hit and threw the ball forward as he hit his arm, but his arm wasn't touched. He just kind of threw the ball and didn't let go of it in time. So again, he looked really off for the entire game, more like, and not just the first half. And then late in the first half, Greg Newsome drops what looked like it could have been a pick six. Didn't even look like he was like anticipating running to the end zone either. Just kind of just went through his hands. And the first half ends 7-5, and this game is already looking to be really, really ugly. In the second half, the Texans running a quarterback sneak, really deep in their own territory. Kyle Allen fumbles it, and Denzel Ward recovers for a touchdown to increase the Browns lead to 14-5. And then on the next drive, I believe it was the Browns defense with a roughing the passer penalty that was a little soft, and then an unsportsmanlike penalty on Chase Winovich that was a little unnecessary, but you can argue that maybe Kyle Allen was trying to block, but also if the quarterback's there, don't just lay him out. And the Texans get a field goal on that drive. 14-8 is the score, and that is how the fourth quarter ends. At this point, we have a scoregami going, so that's kind of what I was rooting for, as neither team, offensively anyway, was providing any excitement. The only thing keeping my brain stimulated enough to watch this game was that, hey, scoregami might happen. The teams trade some punts, and then the Browns offense finally putting some points on the board in the form of a 43-yard Cade York field goal, 17-8 to 8, but unfortunately that does mean scoregami is then lost. So sad. That's especially in a game like this where almost nothing is happening of interest. Kyle Allen pass tipped by Chase Winovich, and then Tony Fields getting a pick six to increase the score to 24-8. At this point, that's pretty much the dagger. This game is over. Neither offense is showing any signs of life, and the Browns defense is absolutely running roughshod on the field. And the offense seems like it knows it because the offense is in running the clock mode. Tony Fields then recovering a fumble on a punt return that is forced by Jordan Kanazik. So Tony Fields, the beneficiary, but also taking advantage of opportunities of him being around the ball when it's up for grabs, and he gets it. Taki needing help off the field. He would eventually be carted to the locker room. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but again, he was carted to the locker room, so it's not looking good. But hey, I've been wrong about injuries before. At some point, the CBS broadcast shows a graphic supposedly featuring Froholt. The only issue is that it's very clearly not him. It's a completely different skin tone, and it's just everything. It's not Froholt. That's just not his picture. I don't know what the point was. I wasn't exactly paying too attention to Spiro Didi's or what he had to say about the game, to be quite honest. That drive for the Browns ends with a 42-yard kick from Cade York, 27-8. That officially makes it a 3-point game and kind of puts the game. It was already out of reach, but it was that even in theory, it's going to look pretty impossible for the Texans to come back. And then the Texans get a garbage time touchdown, but they fail their 2-point attempt, and that's how you end up with the score 27-14 after the Browns do some running out of the clock after a desperation onside kick try. So again, the elephant in the room, what everybody was going to be focusing on heading into and throughout the entire game was how Deshaun Watson was playing, and he looked very, very rusty, a lot of low throws. I kind of thought that the Houston Texans crowd might be really hostile, and maybe there would have been if they would have actually showed up. I think that this slog of a season that the Texans are going through have kind of just killed a lot of the fan base's kind of interest, and rightfully so. I don't blame the Texans fan base for not bothering to show up for this because they're now 1-10-1. I don't really blame the Texans at all. I don't blame their fan base for not wanting to pay money and come out to these games anymore. The Deshaun Watson interception killing a promising drive. I saw that the broadcast mentioned maybe that Deshaun Watson expected Peoples-Jones to run a different route, although by the time he was throwing the ball, it was very clear that he was not running that route. So I don't think that's really a valid excuse for that interception. Deshaun Watson just looked really, really bad all game, and I guess you can equate that to Russ, I guess, but again, it looked really bad, and if it's only going to get gradually better, then he might look kind of rough for a lot of the season here. His stat line was he was 12 for 22 for 131 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked once, and he had 21 rushing yards on 7 attempts. I do think that is something that he showed a little bit of willingness to do. He was definitely a lot more mobile than Jacoby Brissett was because he's just quicker. So I guess having 2 years off didn't ruin his speed completely. But besides that, it was just really sloppy and a really rough game for Deshaun Watson. And that stat line was going to be enough for this game against the Texans. But again, he's going to have to look completely different against the Bengals and the Ravens coming up, I think, if the Browns are going to want to have a chance in these games, because the Browns defense isn't going to be able to score 2 touchdowns and force 2 or 3 turnovers every single game. The Browns defense obviously playing very well, scoring touchdowns on turnovers, but also Houston offense just blows chunks. Kyle Allen is a horrible starting quarterback. Pep Hamilton is a really bad play caller. I mentioned the fourth and goal stop from the 1, but really the Browns at this point were a little bit reeling from their rushing attack, and they chose to pass it. Just looks like that quarterback sneak deep in your own territory play call was also a little head scratching, especially considering I think that was a second down. They didn't have to really do that. And the offense in general, even if they weren't being hindered by all those things, they really don't have much in terms of high-end talent either. This is definitely a team that is looking to the future, definitely, for offensive talent. So not a whole lot. Again, they did get the 1 garbage time touchdown late to Nico Collins. That was the only thing keeping them from this game from being without an offensive touchdown, which is just, again, that exemplifies how just horrible this game was. But Donovan Peoples' punt return for a touchdown did kind of make everything feel like it would be fine as far as the Browns winning the game goes, because it was obvious that neither offense was doing anything, but the Browns were finding ways to score in other ways. And that's pretty much it as far as breaking down the game. It was really sloppy and ugly. But I do want to say thank you to everybody who has come by and, decided to drop a subscription if they felt like it. We are above 50 for now, so hopefully like 2 or 3 people don't decide that they're sick of me and, choose to leave. But as for right now, I have screenshots and proof. I have more than 50. We reached that goal. I don't really have like a technical goal for this thing. I just kind of upload videos and people like them if they like them, and I'm glad people do, and I'm really appreciative of everyone who decided to hit a button in order to keep up with my stuff. I feel like that's really incredible. I never expected that especially at this point in the videos I make, that there would be, I have a subscription number with a 5 and then a number after that 5. So that would be, that's pretty nice as far as that goes. So thank you all if you all drop a subscription. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you at the next one.